Welcome everyone to our next session. I am glad to present to you the flash session number 05, which will be on the topic of fostering innovation for justice, showcasing the digital future of justice hackathon. Before the start, I would like to read you the session rules, which are: please enter with your full name. To ask questions, raise hand using the Zoom function. You will be unmuted when the floor is given to you. When speaking, switch on the video, state your name and affiliation, and do not share links to the Zoom meetings, not even with your colleagues. Thank you very much. Now I'll present you our moderator and the presenters. I'm glad to present our moderator, who is Biljana Nikolic, Project Manager, Innovative Solutions for Human Rights and Justice. Thomas Lampert, who is one of the key participants, Professor and Chair of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science at the University of Strasbourg. And Muriel Fabre-Popa, expert at Generative AI, Responsible AI, Policies and Governance, Computational Neuroscientist, ex-INRIA, and Cornell researcher. Please.
Thank you very much. Besides the panelists you already mentioned, we also have the Justice Indexes team that they will introduce themselves later and that they will showcase the winning solution. On behalf of the Council of Europe, I would like to welcome you to the session where we will showcase the solution, the winning solution, and also the concept of the digital future of justice hackathon. The hackathons on digital future of justice is the result of a collective efforts of the Council of Europe with the aim of exploring the technology and innovation to support the human rights and better access to justice. We are very proud to say that we have already hosted 2 editions of the Digital Future of Justice Hackathon, and they were held in the past 2 years. These events bring together students, researchers, legal professionals, data scientists from a wide range area of fields to come up with creative, human rights focused solutions to solve certain challenges that exist in the justice system. So without further ado, because we also have a limited amount of time, I would like to pass the floor to Muriel Fabre. She is the expert in generative AI and policies, and she was the jury member at our last hackathon. Muriel, please, the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me to this flash session, because it's very dear to my heart. First, because it was the first way I had to know the Council of Europe and its mission. And second, because I think it's just in a nutshell that understanding is governance. And there's no better way of governing something than doing it, and that knowing how to do it. And that's the first message I would like to say, that it's important to have, as a jury member, just to share my experience, that when we think of an institution like the Council of Europe and its mission to protect human rights, rule of law and democracy, that such an institution has the capability of gathering this knowledge through experience and through building systems like you helped to do during the last hackathon, is really important, because it makes technology more transparent. And this is actually life-saving for institutions that are international, like AI is international, for institutions that are deeply involved in everything that is human, like AI, and for institutions that are acting and protecting systems like democracy and rule of law. And AI is kind of a very pervasive system. So when we see the characteristic of AI and we see the characteristic of the Council of Europe, there's no way that Council of Europe doesn't have to understand what the system is. And doing this hackathon is important because you have to decide what are the criteria of the winner for the winning team, right? And the criteria for the winning teams are also the criteria of what is justice, what justice is in need today, what procurement in justice has to do, What are the different criteria that procurement of a tool for justice, like the one that was developed during the last hackathon, needs to have? And so gathering this technological knowledge, understanding what are the gaps in the technology, and having a benchmark in order to decide what to buy, if you want to buy a system that is helping you in justice, or what are the criteria to write down a public procurement for a tool in justice. And these three elements are important for responsible design. And they are essential for responsible development of these tools, and so that these tools don't change the system of justice in a way that the system of justice doesn't want. And so these elements are fundamental in order to be the standard setters for justice, because these tools will be used and they will develop the standard. And it's not the IT guy that will develop the standard. It's actually the procurement or the jury or the mentor that will decide what is the standard for the tool. So it's really important in order not to change the roles. Who is the standard setter of justice in 2025? And so these hackathons are at the core of innovation. They're not just trying to ramp up they are deciding what innovation should do in the realm of justice. So this is it's not only, actually it's not a wish, it's just saying what happened. We decided the criteria for the winners. We decided that it should be multilingual in order to address different jurisdictions. We found out what were the tricks about this multilinguality in legal language. And all this experience is helping putting forward what are the right standards for justice and rule of law.
Thank you very much, Muriel, for the insights on the jury criteria, and also, as you said, the importance of it, and in also setting the standards and driving innovation in the right direction. So I would like to pass the floor to Thomas, Professor Thomas Lampert. He was participated in both hackathons in the past 3 years, in the first as in the role of the mentor, and in the second one as the jury member. So please, Thomas, floor to you.
Thank you very much. So yes, I'll give a point of view, a bit more practical point of view from the mental side of things, which, as mentioned, as I participated in the first hackathon. So of course, the mentor is there to guide the participants, to give our advice on the practical application of their knowledge. So the participants in a hackathon are generally students coming towards the end of their education, so they have a very good theoretical knowledge about their fields, AI maybe, or legal practice, but perhaps don't have so much experience in the practical application of this and the problems that can arise from that. So the role of the mentor is really to be there to take our experience of developing these kinds of systems and to guide the participants, to give them a view of what problems might arise during the hackathon and the development, and you know, we're trying to develop solutions that will last after the hackathon, so whether it is a sustainable solution or not. So they know the theory very well from their education, and this is great because then we get lots of great innovation and very interesting solutions to problems that perhaps us old, more experienced people don't really think about. So this opens up innovation and gives new ideas. And then, as I mentioned, guiding them on the practical application, the complications and the questions that may arise from that, and also taking into account the time frame, because a hackathon lasts for, in this case, 3 days. You know, we can't dream up the most complex solution to a problem. We can prove something with a perhaps simpler algorithm, with mind that this proves the proof of concept, and then later on it can be developed further and we can get more robust solutions to a problem. I'd also like to give the point of view from an academic, being a researcher at the university. So I think the output of the hackathon is really twofold. You get a direct implication, which has already been mentioned. So it's demonstrating innovation in the direction that the Council of Europe is interested in, and that align with its core values. So we've seen sessions today on discrimination, AI and discrimination, things like this. So we can integrate these kind of directions within the the evaluation criteria and the criteria for the solution in the hackathon. In existing hackathons or the previous hackathons, multilingualism has been mentioned, carbon footprint of the AI systems, whether open source data, open source systems have been used so they can be carried forward. And of course, you influence young minds. So, I mean, the first hackathon solution, in fact, they went back to their university and they created a team that carried on developing the solution, and I think a company or some kind of system. So, you know, it moves on more than just these 3 days. And then also you have the indirect influence. You're creating benchmark data sets, you're creating a benchmark criteria for these kind of systems. And as a researcher, this opens up the possibility for us to apply our algorithms there. I mean, researchers aren't there developing these things themselves. If the Council of Europe and the community wants people to focus on these things, having these benchmarks in place breaks down a barrier for a researcher to then continue, and it fosters competition and therefore innovation in the field. So I leave it there, and I think we hear from the winners. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas, for the overview of the process, but also of the results and the effects that hackathons have, not only as the event itself, but also like it's the full life cycle after that comes. So without further ado, I would like to pass the floor to Justice Index's team that won the first prize at the last hackathon in Bologna. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pasquale, and together with Andrea and Fabrizio, we were the Justice Indexers during the hackathon, the Digital Future of Justice, which took place in Bologna last November. And today we're going to see the task that the Council of Europe gave us to the other teams during the hackathon, our solution, and a brief demo of our solution. The task of the hackathon was to build a system that could assist a legal expert to find, to comparison the judicial cases, judicial decisions, and this through the usage of innovative technologies. In particular, in fact, a system that can find and highlight the common elements in different decisions and cases, can help to promote fairness, reduce discrepancies across different legal systems, and so it can increase and promote the consistency of legal outcomes. Of course, during the hackathon, we had to face a few problems, mainly related to the fact that the cases were in different languages, because basically there are like some cases were in English, but there were also national court, and so there were also texts in Italian, Greek, French, and so on. Another problem was that the decisions, the legal documents are usually very long, and they were a lot because they were all about like 70,000 documents, and we had just 2 days to build our tool. And another problem was that the documents were in very different structures because basically each court has its own structures, and so it's not standardized. To solve this problem, to build our tool, we've basically built a search engine for legal documents, which is basically a tool which can allow a user, for example, a legal expert, to prompt to insert a query that can be a prompt or also another document, and it retrieves similar cases. This is done through the usage of embeddings. Basically, the embedding models allow to represent, for example, words or images as vectors, so as list of numbers, which are basically projected into a multidimensional space. In this multidimensional space, words that have similar meaning are close to each other. And that's because the embedding models are trained to learn the semantic of words. To build our tool, so we have basically transformed the cases, the legal documents as vectors, And when a user insert a prompt, we also transform the query as a vector. So when both the cases and the query are as vectors, we can find the cases that are in this multidimensional space close to the query, which are the documents that are similar to the query. And to do that, we've used a multilingual model. So because, of course, as I said, the cases were in different languages. And so basically, these models are trained on different languages, so they can handle different languages and be language agnostic. And now Andrea is going to explain you more in details how we have transformed the legal text as vectors.
Okay, as Pasquale just said, the key aspect of our tools is extract the semantic meaning from the text. However, this technique stopped working while our text were very long. So our tool, before the applying of vectorization of our text, split each document inside different pieces. Each pieces of this document were made of a group of a small number of sentences, and then for each of these pieces we exploit what Pasquale said. So we apply the vectorization and we extract from each piece the semantic representation of the piece as vector. And these things is very useful because is language agnostic. So different kind of language can be compared thanks to these tools. And then we create a sort of internal representation of our document in which the original document is mapped into we can say another big document in which each pieces can take trace both of the semantical meaning but also of the keyword of the original text. And whenever one of these pieces match the query of our user, the whole original document is given as output to the user. Another important point to overcome during this hackathon was the fact that we are dealing with a different structure of document, really different structure. So we have to apply a sort of normalization of the standard of this document, and to do that we exploit the power of large language model. Large language model is an AI model that can take into account long text, taking to account also all the semantic in a different language, and give us as output very structured information. For example, we extract metadata from our original documents, and we extract some important information such a summary that can be consulted by a legal expert to briefly have understanding of what they are going to read. Then the type of the decision, some keyword, and also the identification code. These metadata information were exploited to improve the accuracy and the power of the research, as we can compare the metadata extract both from the query and the dataset. So to sum up, we create a sort of database, and to create this database, we pass our original text, our legal text, in two parallel and different pipelines. The first one in the upper of the slide is the extraction of metadata through the LLM, and then the second one is the chunking, so the division in a small piece, and the vectorization of this chunking. So inside our database, we have the possibility of consult from each legal document both the metadata, the semantic representation, but also the keyword extracted from the original document. Then, after building this database, we give the user the possibility of querying it. And the querying process is quite complicated because the initial query of our user can be used to search inside the collection of our documents in two different ways. The first way of search in our database is through keyword extraction. So we can match the keyword from the user query to the keyword inside the document. But of course, this method doesn't care about the language, because if the keyword from the query is in English, of course, this type of research give us back only English documents because the query was in English. However, we add to this type of search also the type of search of semantic, and we exploit the so-called hybrid search. The hybrid search gives different way to the keyword and the semantic search. And so our database give us back a list of documents that are both linked to the query in the keyword way or in the semantic way. And after a re-ranked of this list, we give back to our user a list of ordinated juridical decision and the metadata we extract in the previous part. Now we are going to see how our tools work.
We prepared for today a little demo to showcase our solution. Basically, this is the query page the user will see with this main feature. We have the input method, so we can text a query to prompt manually to LLM, or we can upload a document of also of all sentences that our searching engine will take, prepare as a short text and submit to the searching engine. We can decide how long has to be the list we have to retrieve from 5 to 10, also 15 document at once. And we can have a keyword search and a hybrid search that will work as we was theoretically explained like this, but now we will see a practical example. We used for this demo the query that was used as case test during the hackathon. So Jehovah Witness going to collecting data while interviewing people during their preaches without consent. And now we are going to do a keyword search. As we see, we are retrieving the correct sentence from our case test, along with the metadata that have the language in English, the data, the type, so a judgment from which court, and the main keywords to a fast identification of the legal text of the juridical. Also, we have the summary with main fact, people involved, the outcome of the proceeding, and the significant element of the decision that can permit experts to explore more in depth the full text that we have available in our solution, and it can be downloaded. Now, for understand why the keyword search can be limited, we translated the same query in Greek and prompt to our searching engine. And we can see that we are going to retrieve wrongly another legal text as first result. So why this is happening? Because the searching engine with keyword search is gonna match the exact word that is finding. We see the language is in Greek, but is missing all the context of the text we are prompt to him. So if we do the same query in Greek, but with an hybrid search, we can see that the result will become in an instant the one of the first query in English. So we think that this kind of solution can really help legal experts as judge and advocacy field to fast retrieve and compare different legal text from different countries in different languages, and without expend so many time to digging the data manually. We will give you the QR code of the solution so you can try it for the next 48 hours. you can reach us out with our email if you want to try it in the next month. And we will thank the Council of Europe for organization this hackathon, because it's very useful for us to improve our competence and solve real case scenario. And thank you everyone for the attention.
Thank you so much. It's really impressive to see again how much you have managed to develop just in 2 days of the event. So we don't have much time because the next session starts at 5. Maybe we have already one question online, so let's maybe have one answer the question online, and we might have a few minutes just if someone has any questions from the audience in person. Okay, Christina, can you please read the question?
Thank you. The question comes from Amali de Silva Mitchell, and it is, please elaborate on the issue of hallucinations and how this can be managed. Amali is from IGF DDHD. Thank you.
Okay, try. To reply to these questions, the LLM is used only to extract metadata information, so there is not really way of hallucinate in this context because the search engine is built over the vectorial representation and the keyword search, not on the extraction of the LLM. So the list that the user is gonna view at the end of the query is not linked with the LLM. The metadata is used in, we can say, in a second time to the user to say that if he is interested or not in the legal test that he will see in the output.
And then I would say that the question of accuracy is here addressed with a second technology that is linked to building vectors, which is another model, another type of AI model, and it's really important to see what are the different gaps, right? So that policymakers don't put just the question of hallucination on this, but then here this hallucination question was answered with another tool, so that you can see the technology gaps and you can find the right balance, right? And the other thing is just the importance of having legal embeddings, which you actually addressed in the solutions, because you can have a certain, or a legal BERT, that is the most well-known, you can have certain legal embeddings that help you and that are more multilingual than others. And this is actually also helping the accuracy. You can also have vectors that are more or less long, so that you can decide that what is important in the judicial decision as the unit is the paragraph, because the paragraph is a meaningful unit for a judicial decision. While if you're into a financial document, the important unit is probably more the sentence, because you have numbers in that, and you want to extract the numbers much more than the gist of the paragraph. So it's also important to have these hands-on and dirty hands with the tech in order to see what is the best solution for justice. So thank you for your question.
Just a quick addition to that as well is the fact that this is a tool for a human in order to find results and therefore validate the results. And therefore the human is in the loop in this system, which can also, we're not generating a reply that can hallucinate. So.
Yeah, and as judges, we decided to have as a criteria how evident it was that the answer was right. So for example, in their example, you see that there is an excerpt, so that and then you can click and have the full document, so that you're not in front of a black box answer, but we asked to add elements that were helping the legal expert to actually discriminate about the answer and be sure that the answer is really about his query, or maybe make the query better if the answer is not the right one.
Excellent, thank you everyone. Maybe we have like 1 minute for the last question in the audience. Domenico, I see you raise the hand, please.
Thank you very much, and first of all, congratulazioni for the win, and thank you so much for the great presentation. It brought to me just a specific question that might not be linked to your specific project, but it's something that I'm from the Geneva Academy of International Humanitarian Law and Human Rights, have been discussing with civil society organizations in Geneva that wish to leverage AI for grassroots organizations in data collection, especially in sensitive contexts. And this is a question that we've been asking ourselves quite a bit, but I wanted to take the opportunity to ask just a quick reply, if possible, on what would be the best model for securitizing, if that's even the term, sensitive data when grassroots organizations want to leverage AI for that data collection.
I'm a lawyer, maybe Uriel can help reply this question.
So,
Yes.
the question is, what do you mean by the best model, right? Because if you mean the best large language model, there are benchmarks, but if the question is about security, there's definitely the best way to secure your data is to have them where you want to have them, right? So the development of these tools, especially for tagging or using LLMs in order to judge how pertinent is your answer, is going to be like very little models that you don't need to have them in the cloud. You can actually have them locally. If the question is about having a model that is helping you analyze data, you don't need to have the whole ChatGPT to analyze data. You can have a small model that you decide to fine tune for your precise questions. And actually, the good thing is that I'm thinking about a platform that is called Adaptive LM that is helping you to tailor your small model. So hope it answers.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. No time. Sorry, we are running out of the time because the next session is started, but we can continue maybe after the session. Thank you, everyone, again, for joining us today. I hope it was interesting. You have the QR code, as they mentioned. It will be available for the next 48 hours if you want to explore more about the solution. And then I will pass the floor to Christina to wrap up from the host. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the presenters and participants for the very interesting presentation and a very insightful discussion. Now we'll continue with our next flash, which is the last one for today, and it starts immediately. So please don't leave the room if you want to participate. Next one will be on the topic of AI, robotics, and health. And I please want to welcome the key participants and organizers to come here. Thank you.